up until a few days ago, I had never seen any of the John Wick movies, none of the John Wick series or anything. I'm not a huge action movie fan, believe it or not. I'm actually not. I'm actually a lot more into the more cerebral stuff. I have strange film tastes, so just how it is. But, you know, Keanu usually has a pretty decent eye for material, so I'm like, all right, you know what, I'm gonna give these movies a try. And so I watched the first one, the second one. Spoilers, right? But the second one, the first part of the second one is the one where I'd like to actually talk about this. Notice that if you've seen this movie, and again, if you haven't, maybe just turn this off or something, but if you have, you know what scene I'm probably talking about. There is it's the part where after he goes through all the so-called henchmen and then walks in and then pours 2 drinks and hands the one drink to the mob boss, and then yeah, they clink glasses and he drinks and he says, you know, peace, right? This is an interesting topic for me because I know I have a lot of sharp edges. Trust me. I mean, I realize, I realize that I may be interesting, but I'm not a very likable guy. You don't know me personally. I'm not terribly likable, and I'm okay with that. Okay, don't misunderstand. But I have this issue with something like this. The only people that can actually have peace are people who are capable of not being peaceful, okay? And I think a lot of Americans have slavery confused with peace. Peace is something you choose to have. Do you have the ability, I'm talking to the average American out there, most of the followers, something like, I mean, I know there's like, I have a bunch of followers. I have some of the hottest followers in like the whole of the internet. Something like 30% of them are these really hot Chinese chicks. You know? But no, I mean, most of you are guys, and definitely by this time in the video, there's like virtually nobody left except for a handful of people that are willing to watch this stuff to this far. Usually 48 seconds, that's it. 43 to 48 seconds is usually the max. So when I'm not just belaboring that, there's a reason I bring that stuff up. It's because like, well, okay, so when I ask these questions of people in general, the average American male out there who happens to make it this far in any of my work, do you have the ability to wage that kind of war? Probably not. In fact, most of us do not have that. Well, that's a problem then, because that means that you're not really choosing peace, are you? No, you're kind of going along with everything. What prompted this conversation was actually a post I had made on the site formerly known as Bird Site, where I point this out. Like, conservatives, you guys get really squeamish when I talk about the Second Amendment for whatever reason. Why? Because, you guys all want to have Second Amendment up to a point, and then you don't want Second Amendment. Just like everybody out there who claims they want free speech. You claim you want free speech up to a point, and then it's like, well, no, we don't want to have. So which is it? Which is it? This is a black and white thing, at least in America. Now look, if you can go, there are, 172 other countries that you can go to where do whatever you want or don't do whatever you want. You have a thought that goes against the narrative, you can lose a finger, or you can be unalived by the government because, you picked a wallet up off the street and looked to see who the owner was, and oh my God, you've stolen it and such. Like, I think we know what country we're talking about on this. So you have options, right? So here in the US, it is a black and white issue, or at least it was. You either have free speech or you don't. You either have a Second Amendment or you don't. That's it. We haven't even gotten into any of the other amendments. Like, I'm not even going into the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 10th, 19th. I'm not even going into those, okay? Like where are you at on this? Because, it's just like the Texit question. I get the question of Texit periodically, and I've answered it on many occasions. Like my first question is like, dude, can we get the first 3 things nailed down? What kind of currency? Are you gonna have a First Amendment? Are you gonna have a Second Amendment? Are you gonna be absolutist on all of it? And I can't get answers out of anybody on just those things. So, like, why would we have these advanced discussions about all the other stuff? No. We need to actually have a kind of basically a foundational discussion. I'm just asking, and I think it's a realistic question. I think it's a reasonable question, and I'm not sorry if I'm making you think and question your previous comments on everything, or question your own hypocrisy. Hypocrisy has ran rampant for far too long. All over the world, it's getting really bad. A level of hypocrisy, a degree of hypocrisy, is inevitable because of the human condition. That is a fact, and I recognize that. So do a lot of other people. We all recognize that we all are all hypocrites to a certain extent. But there's a difference between saying, you shouldn't smoke, kids. There's a difference between that type of hypocrisy and terminal hypocrisy that is the end of an entire country. So, something to think about.